it's got a Morning Glory. I'm way late to this pedal, and I dig it a lot. This is a V4 with the, I have a red remote. They're the two different gains, but I dig it a lot so far. So anyway, tell me where you guys are coming from. We'll get started on Guitar Hunter live here. Hey, Badura from Morocco, Illinois. I'm assuming that's IL. All right. Well, fun. I'm going to play guitar for just a minute, and then we'll get some more people, and we'll get started on Guitar Hunter Live. Talk about the worst guitar advice you could ever hear. All right. Some fun faces showing, well, I guess names showing up in the chat. So, hey, Justin. Hey, Mark. Beach Mountain, North Carolina. Where's that? I'm assuming it's not close to the beach. So, yeah, most of my family's out, like, East North Carolina. But it's super fun to hang out. I'm glad y'all are here. Rasmus. Hey, buddy. Okay, so I worked on... The volume should be a lot better on my main mic here this week. And we got some fun stuff going this week. All right, Chris, here's the question. My dad is from Hampton. And I grew up being told that it was Norfolk, Virginia. Are you a Norfolk guy or are you a Norfolk guy? Badura in Morocco wants a Martin D28 Modern Deluxe, but we don't have that. We don't have Martin dealers here. Yeah, you're probably. I mean, I don't know what importing stuff from the EU would look like. I don't know what. Maybe Egypt. I would check out if you know Shadi. Shadi Ahmed will be on here probably at some point. So anyway, Shadi lives in Cairo, and he has a couple really cool Martins, so he might be able to help you. Charlie, all right, so you're Norfolk. Okay. That's good. I'm glad to hear that's not crazy. All right, how does the mic sound? I can't get much louder, but I want to make sure I'm not clipping. That's the worst thing that could happen is I watch some of this video later, and I hear just that little sizzly on the highs. Derek from Joplin, Missouri. Lived in Ocean Springs, Mississippi for 2 years from Lexington, Kentucky. Dude, Ocean Springs is beautiful. My first YouTube video ever was filmed in Ocean Springs. And here's another crazy story. So after Katrina, I stayed on the floor of the sanctuary in Ocean Springs at First Presbyterian. Is it First Presbyterian Ocean Springs? Ocean Springs Presbyterian Church. Whatever it is, it's like right down... 49. It's right over, right off the road, or Highway 90. And then, anyway, we went back there a couple years ago because we were in the Presbyterian church when we were in Louisiana, and went back there and I got to see the church all fixed up. Anyway, Ocean Springs is beautiful. Life is good. Hey, Bo. Man, this is fun. Lots of fun people coming in. So, let's jump in. Nope, hang on. What? I might have to fix something real quick. All that work to get it working right, and it changed. All right. So this is the worst guitar advice. I asked my subscribers, if you're on Instagram, if you follow me at Jeremy the Guitar Hunter on Instagram. I also asked on YouTube, which I need to check over there in a second. But I wanted to. Okay, yeah, worst advice. So I asked, what's the best or what's the worst advice? We didn't talk about best advice yet because I think that's kind of boring. There's lots of good advice, but I think there's way more bad advice that'll mess you up, mess up your guitar playing, mess up your life. So I figured that'd be more fun to jump into and talk to about this week. Oh, cool. So yeah, so there's lots of stuff going on. So we'll do some Q&A here at the end. I mentioned Folkways last week. Just bought a 72 Gibson 335 from them. That's awesome. That's a great guitar. Levels are a little low, I know. That's about as loud as I can get it. I added, so I've ordered a preamp, but what's crazy is so much of the stuff required to stream is still really hard to get, even a year into the lockdown. So anyway, volume is about as high as I can get it. Maybe. How's that? Is that good? Does that do anything? That's my direct out. That might actually. But hopefully that's good and not clipping. I gave up coffee for Lent, and so yesterday I found a drink that I really like, which is a London Fog. It is delicious, and so okay, let's do Q&A at the end. Let's do announcements up front, and then we'll jump into the worst guitar advice that I heard this week. So I just spent a good chunk of today putting pretty much everything that I am selling is for sale now on my website. So if you go to jeremytheguitarhunter.com/shop, you'll find a bunch of guitars. There is, back here you can't really see them, a Nash T52 is for sale. Really, really great Telecaster. If you want just like the most blackguard bitey telly sound, this thing is awesome. I also am selling my Sterling by Music Man, the CT50. Really cool guitar. I'm really a big fan of the I'm a big fan of the HSS. That guitar really won me over. I also have my Martin D17 for sale. That's on the website as well. A ton of people want to buy that, so I put it on the website. If you want to buy it, let me know. What else? I have a Taylor 412 for sale over here, and I have an orange Rock Reverb 15. I think that's about it. Anyway, so announcements. Go check out the website. If you want to support the channel, you can do a couple things. You can, buy guitars, buy gear. That's the easiest way. You get rad gear. I'll send it to you. Usually I throw in merch. On all this stuff, I'll pretty much, everything will get merch. Shirt, hat. I don't have hats. Shirts, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, that's one super cool thing. There's also the buyer's guide. So if you want practical advice on how to buy guitars and find the right one for you, how to know what they're worth, how to find where they are, the buyer's guide is super helpful. The last thing is if you want, you can find time with me. We can schedule time to get together. I can coach you how to find the perfect guitar for you, where I would look, how to negotiate. I'll coach you through the process. And by the end, you'll wind up with a really cool guitar. And I just started offering on my website this week, if you're a guitar shop and if you're struggling to connect with people, if you don't know how to market your guitar shop, my background is in marketing and sales. And so that's one of the things that I really know how to do well, is to create marketing systems for small businesses. So if that's something you're interested in, I'm kind of aiming that skill set right at guitar shops. And it's fun. I'm starting to work with some more guitar brands. But as always, this podcast, this live show on Fridays, this is sponsored by my patrons. That is who pays for this. That is who makes sure that this gets to happen. So I want to say thanks to my patrons. I picked up a 6th Ride or Die patron. So, I don't think I can remember all of them off the top of my head. But Andy, Jose, Tom, Gary, Jose. Did I say Jose? Tom. Anyway, thanks so much to my patrons. I saw this title on my face. That's funny. That's funny. Whoops. All right. So, what is happening? Okay. Too many things are going on at one time. Okay, here we go. So, with all of that said, let's jump into the worst guitar advice that we have ever heard. So I'm just gonna kind of respond to some of these, and as I find ones that resonate with me or really kind of ring true to my life, I'll talk about them. Oh, these are automatically playing. That's what's happening. You know, as it goes, changing things on the fly. Okay. All right. It's not working. Sorry. Okay. So the first one that we'll respond to here is that if a song is not hard to play, it's not good. Could not be more untrue. This is a good one. This is a good crazy one to start with. This is the kind of advice that you would get unsolicited at a guitar shop when you're trying to figure out if you want to buy a guitar, if you're playing with something. And some guy from across the room hears you playing Blackbird. But what's crazy is think about some of the most important and significant and memorable songs of our history are really, really simple. Hey Jude. There are so many. What else? Oasis. Wonderwall is basically, right, 4 chords, basically. E minor, G, D sus, A sus, C, E minor 7. Yeah, they're really incredible songs, and that's been more my style too. I think that learning how to play really simply, learning how to only put forward things that are good and pleasing to hear and good music. So that's a good one. That's a really good one to start with. Another one coming up is not sure if this counts, but I called a blank for putting 10s on my Les Paul by a coworker. I'm assuming they're saying, why don't you put 11s or 12s or 16s? Joey Landreth. No. Joey Landreth wouldn't be there. And that's a different. But to equate skill of guitar playing with guitar strings, I've had to die to this issue years ago. In acoustic guitar playing, there's a big push that unless you're playing mediums, you have bad tone. And unless you have mediums, you're not a good guitar player. Neither are true. I play light strings. Sometimes rarely do I play extra light, but almost always I play light strings, unless I'm going to be playing down. I'll play mediums if I'm playing a full step down or, a step and a half down in, like, if I'm doing Dadget, a full step down into C. But this is a good, ridiculous one. And I'm sure most of us have probably seen, Three Little Birds, All Along the Watchtower. Neil Young, Alabama is only maybe 4 chords. It's really simple. F, G, A minor, Heart of Gold. There are many simple songs. Now, moving into this one, most of us have probably seen Rick Beato's video from, I guess, probably a year ago now. And then Rhett did a video about it as well, which is that they kind of ran through all of these guitars with all these different strings, and they kept finding over and over that to their ear that the 9 sounded best on electric guitars. And I think 9s it's an interesting, also, you'll get picked on by Bobos for just not playing, heavy strings. The truth is, because it's been confirmed now that even Stevie Ray Vaughan, he didn't play 13s. He played 9s. That's what I've read that 2 different places recently. I hope it's true. It sounded like it's true. It was his old guitar tech who said it. But your ability as a guitar player and what strings you play really doesn't matter that much. And even then, there is no substantial tone difference between lighter gauges and heavier gauges. So anyway, that's a really good one. It's a good thing to just kind of... this is a good example of a time that you just have to set up an internal boundary where you're like, no one gets to change how I feel about myself. And where you just return that crap to sender. So somebody sends you a thing saying, you should be playing 12s or you're not a real musician. You're like, okay, like you're just a grumpy, you're a grumpy guy. I don't know. Something mean. That's not my style. Okay, there were two that came through. They're the same kind of thought, and I think it's awesome. And it's really helpful and true. Capos are for lazy... Over this way. Capos are for lazy musicians, and that capos are for people who can't play. Neither are true. Capos are not for people that are lazy, because, yes, you could play the same chords. So think about if you're trying to play in B flat, especially like if you're leading a song, if you're playing in church, or if you're doing, B flat, F, anything that requires a lot of bar chords, especially if you're not good at bar chords. Let me grab a guitar and I'll show you. Oh, I have my D41 over here. Let me grab a capo too. This is my 1971 Martin D41. I'm going to turn on another light, too. Okay. So if you're playing a song in B flat... anything that requires a ton of bar chords, you're not doing yourself many favors, especially if you're not a good guitar player, and if you're just not strong in bar chords, you're going to get a lot of those dead strings like... So instead, put a capo on the first fret, and all of a sudden you can play it in E, or you can play it in A. Yeah, so capos are not lazy. Capos are super helpful. The other really cool way to use a capo that shows that you're actually a better and more proficient musician is if you're running two guitars and you have one person playing in C open, you have another person playing capo 5 in G, you can add really cool texture if you had two different guitars playing in different keys, you get different voicings. So, capos can be a crutch, like if you would only play in D or G or A, and then you would just move that capo wherever you're going. But overall, it's just too broad of a statement, and it's not particularly helpful. So, yep. Georgia on My Mind has a chord. Yes. Sheesh. That's a tricky song. Mark Dugan. Most CCR songs aren't crazy progressions either. Yeah, that's true. Oh boy. Got the capo out of the way. All right. So now, come back over here. Go there. All right. This is actually from Shadi. This is from Shadi in Cairo. We had a really fun talk on Instagram. You should go check it out. He's a great guitar player, great songwriter, and he's just become a really good friend. Lives in Cairo. He's the guitar hunter, the resident guitar hunter in Cairo, and it's awesome. So, Tom says, I think I see the D41. Recently watched you, January D41. In there, you said there would be a follow-up. Okay. Yeah, I'll give you an update real quick on the D41. So this is my 1970 Martin D41. I'll scoot back so you can see the whole thing. Really good shape. No issues. It does need a neck reset. So I talked to Danny, my luthier, my repairman today. So in the next little bit, let me turn these off for a second. So here in a little bit, we'll do a neck reset on this. I also noticed last night as I was putting it into a guitar hanger upstairs, these two pieces of binding up high on the sides of the headstock are coming loose. So we just need to get those glued and resecured. So when it gets a neck reset, it'll get a new saddle it'll be really good action. We're not going to mess with the Indian Rosewood bridge plate because the guitar is so clean. I don't want to subject it to that much as I bonk it on the table. But it's just so clean. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to take off because you have to put so much heat to the top to change it out. And so we'll get the neck reset, new saddle. We'll see how that goes. It should really clean it up. It's a bit muddy now. Like this guitar, it doesn't sound amazing to me yet. It sounds super Neil Young. So I wanted to do more videos on it, but it's just, I don't know. I've had a bunch of videos and a bunch of stuff to do. So let me know if you want me to do another video on this quickly, and I can bump it up in the list. Let's see, Tom, what else did you say? Yeah, so that's the basic update. It's here. It stays upstairs. It's been in the case a bunch. When it's not in the case, it's hanging like upstairs. I have 2 guitar hangers, one in our bedroom, one in our kitchen, and I keep it out. Ridiculous story today that's a little embarrassing. It's not embarrassing. It's just we have these 2 cheap IKEA chairs. They're not even IKEA. They're like Wayfair or Overstock. They're these like plastic chairs with wooden bases, kind of spindly legs, and they're always falling apart. Like the screws are always falling out. So I went and got this guitar today at lunch, and I'm sitting there, and as I sit down, I feel the chair start to break underneath me, and I feel it break, and I'm going back, and I have the guitar in this hand, and I just throw it up above my head, and I just take whatever fall is going to happen. And so I fell. The guitar didn't hit the ground. It didn't hit the chair, but it was a really good dose of stress. Yeah, terrible. Anyway, super cool guitar. Very excited to own it. I'm excited to get it sorted. And I've kind of been living with it, like it's probably 60-70% of where I want it to be. So, okie doke. Let's get back over here to these. Okay, so back over here to bad advice. Another bad advice thing that we hear is that good upgrades make cheap guitars great. How many people have heard, how in this last hour have you heard someone say, that Epiphone plays as good as my Epiphone plays as good as any Gibson custom shop you've ever seen. I put new pickups in it. I had new frets put on it. It's the secrets in the strings. Whatever craziness it is, man. They're just not the same, and we need to be okay with that. We need to be okay saying that an Epiphone can be a great guitar. But an Epiphone and a Gibson, particularly a standard, a custom shop, they're just not the same. But with that said, they can still be really great guitars. So I wouldn't sweat about it, but this is one that just, there are times where you're going to want to take some shortcuts. And if you do, they're not actually going to pay off as well. Like a lot of times when you swap pickups, a guitar will sound a lot better, but there's something in your head that it's like, well, it still says Epiphone, doesn't say Gibson. So, then you get defensive, then you start telling yourself this whole narrative. But anyway, Red-Eyed Patriot said, I found a D2832 for $1,800. Not a deal at all. So that's a Shenandoah. So that's made in Japan. And then finished, like the finish is sprayed and it's set up in the U.S. There was actually a class action lawsuit, I'm pretty sure, about those in the 90s because they were sold as American-made guitars, but they were actually made in Japan. They're worth about $1,000. They look dead on like old Martins, and they don't sound like it. I have a video called the Mighty Martin Shenandoah, and I talk about it like, is it worth it? It's a friend of mine's I borrowed. It's a D2832 as well. And in the end, it looks cool, but it just isn't. It's just not a D28, and it doesn't sound really that similar to it. It's also laminate back and sides. Hope that helps. All right, I promise I'll come back to these questions here at the end. So let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb. But yeah, good upgrades can make a student guitar better, but they won't make a guitar amazing. They won't move it up like a whole, like standard deviation, like a whole, a Mexican Strat hot rodded with Fat 57s and CTS harness and a new pick guard will look cool and it will play and sound really good, but it still won't be the same. But that's okay. It doesn't have to be. And sometimes you just need to like make a sinking fund, put a little bit of money each, put $100 away a month. Like say, I'm not going to eat fast food. I'm not going to get coffee at Starbucks. And instead, each time I do that, I'm going to drink water and put $3 into a savings fund or whatever. And then from there, you get to where by 8 months, 10 months, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I've got $1,000. I can find a really cool guitar for that. And it also shows how much money, goes out, just kind of seeps out. The next one is try to be like someone else and not follow what makes you happy. Oh, there's a lot packed into this. Is this J.E. Law on Instagram? Ooh, what the? There's a lot. There's a lot in this. There's the first level of like that kind of 90s sitcom, like, or maybe it's 80s, more 80s, of like, give up on your dreams, go into the family business, that kind of thing. You just have to really be careful with that. I mean, it is never a good idea to try to be someone else. The best thing you can do is discover your hobby, like try to be a healthy person, and in being a healthy person, you figure out what you like and what you're into. And then set up some healthy boundaries and really dig into those things in a way that brings life. It doesn't cut you off or shut you out or, But yeah, the big thing is it will always be a bad time. It'll always be a bad time for people when you start really feeling like you have to be someone else. You have to change who you are. Now, the other part of this is one of the things I always talk about just from my own personal experience is that when you are playing guitar and you have a guitar hero or someone you really like or a song you really like and you want to play that song, the worst thing you can do is just straight imitate it. The worst thing you can do is copy it. So by that, I mean like it serves you no favors to play the song in the same key, to play the song at the same tempo, to play the song with the same inflection in your voice or like affectation on your face the same, you're emoting the same thing. Like when you're trying to look like John Mayer playing Gravity and it's just not the same, sheesh, not great. So the better way is for you to interpret a song you love through your identity, your personality, your skill set, your strengths. So for me, like I love Neil Young, and it's really hard to sing those songs in D or to sing those songs even in C. Like his range, I gotta goose it to get up there. And so in the same way, I found that I can emote more, I can live those songs, I can like kind of incarnate those songs a little bit more if I bring them into my style. So anyway, I think that's really important to just come back to a place of run things through your style rather than just trying to sound like somebody else. All right, so here's another one. This one's from Ballast. Ballast 3 says, don't spend a lot of time on guitar if it's only a hobby. I have a big problem with the word hobby. I've never called what I do with guitar a hobby because it feels a little insulting. It's a passion. It's a pursuit. It's a discipline. To me, hobbies are like, no boy, I have to be really careful to not pick on anything that people like. That's not true. I can pick on things that I think are dumb. I was going to say like guys that get really into, when you get into really like, I was thinking like painting little figurines for desktop games, but those are super fun. I get it. Hobbies are usually really expensive and kind of pointless. So I think the problem with this thing is hobby, because it's not like a passion, pursuit, drive, whatever it is. I think that hobbies are typically expensive and time consuming. And with guitar playing does not have to cost you. Guitar hunting costs me very little money. because I pretty much only buy used stuff. And when I buy that used stuff, I always kind of buy it at a place in which I can make my money back or make a little bit of money. And then, when I do buy guitar strings or all the disposables in the guitar life, I buy them in a big chunk at a time. I save up coupons or whatever it is. I used to do Musician's Friend. They would have these like coupon like in their emails, and every now and then they would send like a 30% off coupon. And so I'd go in and buy like $300 worth of guitar strings to last me a couple of years, and I'd get 30% off. So I think the biggest thing, oh my gosh, Charlie Pritt saying, I like how artists like Amos Lee and Martin Sexton add so much variations to their own songs from gig to gig. That is a really great point, and I love both of those musicians. I actually meant to talk about, you guys want to talk more about the Acoustasonic Jazzmaster? I'm sorry. There were a lot of people that talked about that guitar this week. But I meant to talk about that. I talked about Dave Matthews, but I didn't pull in. Maybe I chopped it out. I edited out the chunk where I talk about like Martin Sexton and Amos Lee. Martin Sexton is the main one. His song Glory Bound, where he plays, I think he even plays on one of the Godins. Sheesh. Anyway, so good. Okay, I won't talk about that guitar anymore. We've heard a lot about it. But yeah, don't spend a lot of time playing a guitar if it's only a hobby. I would ask, who hurt you? Why would you say that? That's a rude thing to say. I'm sorry. That was a joke about the Acoustasonic. I think... Yeah, so I think that's kind of the end of my thoughts on that. I think hobbies are typically, there's a derogatory connotation or intention behind hobby that is, it's a waste of money, it's a thing you do all the time. That's just not helpful. And it's not true. Most guitar playing, it's not like owning a boat. Like owning a boat can be a hobby that costs you $50,000 a year. Sorry, boat owners. But yeah. If I like Martin Sexton, you should also need to give Ian Flanagan a look-see. Oh, sure. I'll check him out for sure. Okay, yeah. That's interesting, and like it's good, bad advice. Because it's, art and beauty and creativity, like humans are made to create. Like that is the thing that we are made to do. And so for someone to say, don't create music, don't create art, don't care about beauty, it's to say, don't be human. So you have to really like check that, return it. Cause it's a deep thing that they're saying to do that is wrong. All right. Oh, this is a good one. You need this Marshall because it goes to 11. Man, that's such a good movie. I just recently rewatched Spinal Tap, and it holds up so well. It's so good. Because it's crazy. You look at, like, it's kind of a mockumentary. Like, we now are at a place where we're at a place where that style didn't come around for so much longer. But anyway, it just holds up really well. It's interesting. You see many fewer guitar players playing like big half stacks and full stacks. And if you do, they're going to be on a chat board asking about like, do I need an aux? And you're like, absolutely, you do. If you're running a 100-watt head and two 412 cabinets, because you're going to blow out your hearing. Yeah. Saying you need this because of a feature is that's another good one that you've got to like check and stop and don't listen to. The best guitar for you is the one you already have. So if you don't have a guitar, sure, you should check out features and figure out which guitar it is. But yeah, you absolutely should pump the brakes. Like, I don't really like the phrase gear acquisition syndrome, like, gas. I think it's funny, like it's a little like, haha, that's kind of funny. But I think it's a more dangerous, like it shows that you're treating it like a hobby, which isn't bad. But you're treating it like, I'll just spend a bunch of money, like, and it's not necessarily going anywhere. Where a passion and a pursuit mean that I'm getting the right tools to help me grow and develop new skills and become a better musician and a better creator. So anyway, I would pump the brakes on those things. The best, yeah, another, in the comments, the best guitar is the one you can afford. It's true. And there are amazing guitars. I'm also selling the Orangewood. That's the one guitar I didn't mention. It's in the case over here. But like Orangewood, they're bringing a whole level of guitars down to a great price point. Oh, the 312. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's funny. Whoops. I can change that on the fly. Well, it won't change for you unless you redo this. 19. Okay, so for new people coming in, they'll see it. Good catch. But yeah. Beware of like being sold on new features. You have to have this because of this feature. So there it is. That's the end of them. All right. So that's good. We went through those pretty quickly. Let me turn these off. So it changed on the fly. Look at that. We're fancy, fellas. The London Fog, delicious. Floral, vanilla, kind of tastes like marshmallows. But yeah, so I'll start running through questions back from the top, and then if you have questions, let me know. Let's just chat and hang out. And Rasmus talked about a project guitar from 1942, 1943. Oh boy, I'm sure it would be expensive and risky. Jeff got a 72. You said it just got there? I think down here below you say it just got here. Got a GS Mini. James just got a GS Mini M a short while ago. That's a great guitar. I think the GS Mini, I would love to have a GS Mini Koa. That's a guitar that I've wanted one for a couple of years, but they're pricey. But I think they're very worth it. John. John's from the Netherlands. Hello. Have you ever yes. Yeah. So Wade Lilico asked if I've ever seen a Gibson Southern Jumbo in my hands from the 50s. I have. My friend Mike he has a 64, but he also has a 58. They're wonderful. They're really good. I like the ones before they were adjustable bridge. So I like 63 and older. They also had small guards in the 50s that I think are awesome. My favorite, like a dream guitar for me, would be maybe a 57 or 58 country and western. But Southern Jumbos are magical little guitars. Brady asked if I've ever heard of Republic Resonators. I haven't. That's an interesting name because you have National, and like it feels like the right name to be in that space. What question did Alden ask? What is a London Fog? Okay, somebody answered. Jonathan answered that. Yeah, it's delicious. That's the thing you need to know. So it's Earl Grey, steamed milk, and vanilla syrup or vanilla. So I did mine with sugar-free because we're doing other stuff. Trying to get back down to fighting weight. My pre-COVID weight. With Tom, we talked about my D41. BB King asked Billy Gibbons why he was playing heavy strings. Believe that 12s, he told them, son, put on some 8s. Yeah, Billy Gibbons plays super light 8s. I've never played 8s. Maybe a couple. No, my old guitar teacher had a Steinbrenner that he kept 8s on because he would do like crazy like two-step bends. Mike Pinion, how's your mom and them? That's one of my favorite like Louisiana things. How's your mom and them? My best acoustic says Frederick Banjo Man. I think he already left because he's in the UK. His best acoustic is a 77 Marlin SH5050. Japanese copy of a D28, 44 years old, and it is sweet. That's a cool guitar. I've only seen a handful of those. A mistake I made while building a guitar. I put a Paducah bridge plate. I had to swap that thing out. Type bond is strong. Oh boy. Yeah, I think that's one of the benefits of hide glue is that right with heat and steam, you can get it to it's a two-way solution rather than a one-way solution. Like, that's why, like, screws versus nails. Screws are a two-way solution because you can back them back out. Nails, one way. They don't like coming back out the other way without leaving a mark, doing some damage. Jeff Squires, I had to ask my children guitars permission to add a sibling. Didn't want to make them jealous. That's funny. Alex has 27 children and one on the way. I Gibbs the songwriter. Those are cool. I really wanted a songwriter deluxe years ago. Found a sawtooth mahogany parlor for $295. I've heard a lot of people talk about those. I haven't checked one out yet. I think I'm a little like worn out of like, is this cheap guitar worth it? I had a traumatic experience with that big dumb glary over there. It's a little gimmicky, and I think like my viewers, like they want my, like y'all seem to want my opinion and my take on like cool guitars. How do you get to the next guitar? What do you think about this? Like moving up, it feels a little gimmicky and a little clickbaity. So I'm going to take a break from just like this $200 guitar. Is it as good as the $1,000 guitar? I do think that guitars across the board are getting better than they ever have. And I think they're about the same price as they always have, with a few new players in the really affordable range, which I think is great. Like, better guitars for beginners means better guitars for all of us. It's good. Jack Haveman picked up a PRS S2 standard satin. Have I played one before? The strings came with it are a little light for me. I think most of the Paul Reed Smiths usually come with 9s. I'm kind of 50-50 on 9s or 10s. I like 9s on, I think I like 9s on everything now. But for a long time I was 9s on tellies, 9s on strats, 10s on tellies. But I don't really, I don't have as much of an opinion these days. Republic makes a super resonator. Tony Policastro did a review. Okay, I'll text Tony about it. I want to play. That's part of why I've been working on Slide. I love playing open tunings. I had a National Tricone a couple of years ago that I really shouldn't have sold. And I sold it. I got really good money for it. It was a consignment one when I was selling a big guitar collection from some people. But yeah, nicest acoustic is a Norman B18 from around 9 years ago. That's a great guitar. Really, really good. I have Boucher guitars coming. I have 2 Bouchers coming next week. I think I have a guitar coming from Avian that I'll get to do a review on, one of their Doves. A beautiful little, really sweet looking guitar. It has a really interesting, a really different tone, different voice, different style. And they're kind of tapping into the like Asian finger style acoustic guitar that's just blowing up, which works out great, for me, because I love that style of playing. Andy McKee, Trace Bundy, all those guys, I think they're great. A great inexpensive acoustic is Andrew White. Okay. Yeah, if a boat costs $50,000, I don't know. I'm out of my element. Yeah, I don't know. My favorite open tuning is Dadgad. D-A-D-G-A-D. I love it down a step. So like C-G-C F-A-D. Or if you take that F down to an E, you're in the open D. That's probably the next one behind that, open D. But my brain is so used to Dadgad that half step off on the 3rd string throws me off. But I love, yeah. I don't mess around with too much other. I've like a little bit of, I don't like playing an E in general. It's not totally true, but I don't prefer playing an E if I can play in D or in G or A. I have cooler voicings. That's most of my guitar playing. Japanese Fenders. Hold on. I missed a question here. Favorite open tuning. My favorite acoustic. So Matthew says, also have a really early Seagull that my teacher gave to me. That's awesome, man. What a great gift from your teacher. Those are great guitars I don't prefer them. I get asked all the time what I think about Godin and what I think about Seagull. Seagull, for me, they sound wonderful, but the necks aren't my thing. They're just big and, I don't know, they're not quite my thing. But on paper, like, I love Cherry back and sides. My favorite Martin probably ever is the SWD GT with Cherry back and sides. My favorite guitar that I own now, my Waterloo WLS, is Cherry back and sides. I also love cedar tops. So anyway, yeah, so Jeff took my advice and got a set of nickel bronze, and I'll put them on his Martin. I think he'll dig them, man. They're really fun strings. They age really gracefully. They don't go thumpy quickly. They just sound good. So have you, nice hat. Yeah. I was wondering if anybody would notice that. So yeah, my Guild hat. Have you had a chance to try any of the Guild all solid mahogany dreadnought acoustics? If so, do they hold up to the D15 or D17? I have only played one for a few moments, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago. I played a D20 and it's awesome. I mean, it holds its own. The biggest thing about Guild is that they have such, for my playing, their neck shape is so comfortable and so wonderful. And it's an amazing thing that they captured, because Guild now is Cordoba. They're not coming back. They're not the same ownership by any stretch from the 1960s, 1970s. I think in the 80s they started kind of bouncing around. But it's really crazy to me that they nailed it. Like, they nailed the neck profile. So anyway, the D20, I think they're so cool because I love the quirky third option. I love, like, I don't know. I will always pick something that's cool and unusual over the thing that most people have. That's just my style, my preference. Have you ever heard about Greg Bennett? I have. Greg Bennett, it's like tied with, connected to Samick. They're okay. Samick guitars, made in Indonesia, thick polyurethane finishes. They're good, middle of the road, kind of beginner instruments. They've always tried to push that to get them up to the $700 to $800 range, but I just don't think they're worth it. Scar My Guitar. So good. So Sean is working on an amazing guitar for me. I'm so excited and so grateful. So Sean is just this maniac of trying to make a new kind of acoustic guitar. And there are a couple things that are coming on this one that I think are just going to be, unlike anything that I've seen in the guitar world before, like integrated braces on the top of the guitar, just beautiful maple neck. It's going to be really cool. So thanks, Sean. That is super kind. So that was Greg Bennett. The other questions are, Guild guitars are great. I have a 12-string. I'm getting a Guild. They're going to send me a Guild baritone, one of the 9-string baritones. I'll have it for a month or so. I'll get to play around with it, show it off. And I am so excited about that. They're also sending me a Guild D55 that I get to play with for a while. It's one of their artists, like, just on tour. And should be an incredibly cool thing. So, Evan, thoughts on the M36 versus the M38? My understanding is the M38 is more dressed up version, but the M36s have a 3-piece back. So is there a tonal difference? I had an M36. I had an M38 a couple years ago. There are a couple videos you can see of mine. I think the video is called, like, The Best Martin You Haven't Heard Of. So I had an M38. I really like it. It sounds like a dreadnought, feels and plays like an OM. Tons of bass, really articulate. Mine had a 3-piece back, right? I can double check this in my photos over here, but I think my M38 had a 3-piece back. So, all right. Oh man, that's so kind. Thanks guys Larry, I have played a Zager 900. They're good sounding guitars. They sound and feel like an import guitar. But yeah, Let me get back over here and look for... Okay, that's going to take a second to open. But... Okay. Sorry. I'm scanning over here to find my M38. M38. Oh, mine had a 2-piece back. So yeah, so I had an M38 with a 2-piece back. The M36 is very similar, but they're more of a 35 style, so they're a 3-piece back. 3-piece back typically is paired with 1/4-inch bracing rather than 3/8-inch bracing. Usually it's forward shifted. I would say that they would sound different. A YouTube subscriber and now friend, Terry, in Knoxville, he had a 71 Martin D35S. So it was a 12 fret slot headstock D35 that was just a little hard for him. It's, he's getting a little older and his shoulder doesn't work well for it. And so he ended up getting an M36 because he said that is like when you ask Nashville musicians what they play, most of them play M36s. And I think that's why Groon is like they always push so hard on the like the 4/0, like the quad, like a 00018 or 28, because I don't usually see them very often. What other questions are in here? So opinions on the Martin SC13E. Maybe we get a comprehensive review in the future. So I've reached out to Martin. They said that we're gonna work together and figure something out. I haven't heard anything yet. That's fine. I'll keep asking them. So the SC13 is a very cool design. It's a total shift and total move from how they typically build guitars, who they typically build guitars for, how they want those guitars to sound and play. It is made to be a really easy playing, great singer-songwriter, live musician. Not sit in front of a microphone, but much more like standing in front of a crowd. Has a big neck contour, big heel. So very, very cool guitars. Not my style. I haven't actually played one, but I think they're definitely worth checking out. Mary Spender has a really great video on one. I think I've missed the boat just a smidge on this. But yeah, open tunings with the dedicated guitar. Settles in nice, ringing harmonics. Yeah, I typically, all my guitars are kind of going back and forth pretty usually. I now can like flip to dad get in 5 seconds. 5 or 10 seconds. But anyway. Evan, I don't think you could lose with an M36 or an M38. They're both really cool. I think you'd be really into those. Sean, glad you finally caught one. Happy Friday. Yeah, what a way to finish the week. This is the right way. Hanging out with some buds, talking guitars. So Jim, heard that Gibson is doubling their production in Bozeman. Do I have any expectations? I think the Gibson acoustic guitars are wonderful. I think a lazy opinion in the guitar world is that Gibson has bad QC. It's not true. Like, I don't know. There are certainly... no brand does everything right. Few brands do most things right. But... Sorry, I burped. But I've owned probably 6 or 7 Gibsons from the last 10 years, and they all... I just think they're great. So, I've not had any issues with them. I would be a big fan. So, anyway. So... Do I think it's worth repainting a guitar? Absolutely not. Or should you just sell and buy the guitar? Well, okay. It depends on which guitar it is. Acoustic guitars, almost guaranteed to cut whatever the thing is worth in half. Even if it's a great refin, you're going to have a really hard time. Now, with an electric guitar, it's going to affect the value, probably 25-30%. But if it's yours and if you're excited about it and you're going to keep it, if you're getting it done right. So, like the guys at Chesapeake Repair, if you follow them on Instagram, he just refinned Rickenbacker. It was like a 360 and a bass, very similar, but he did both of them in shell pink. And people all along the way were like, oh, that's so cringy and I don't like it and I don't want him to do it. Stop doing it. But it was the guy's guitars and he decided to do it. But if you're doing it for yourself, fine. I would say only do it if you're going for like a color that you really can't find in another guitar. Like, for example, like if I took my Tom DeLonge and I refinished it into graffiti yellow, I don't think that would hurt the value. Right now it's black. But if you're going to a color that didn't exist, if you move it too far outside of what, it just gets really tricky to ever resell those things. But if you're going to keep them forever, then I wouldn't worry too much about it. PRS. So Steve Bambrick asked if I'll review PRS acoustic soon. Are you looking at, so there's, so the guitar shop in my hometown blew up. It exploded. There was a gas explosion. It was really crazy. They have moved to a temporary location for a while. And so they have some guitars that I was going to borrow. And they've asked if I wanted to review some of the PRSs. So I can definitely kind of move those up in the line. It'd be fun to kind of get my head around those. I like them a lot. I played, how do you pronounce them? The Angelus, the Angelus, from a couple years ago, like the $2,500 to $3,500 acoustics. And I thought they were really, really good. I don't think they're making the American acoustic guitars anymore. I could be wrong. But anyway, Mark Dugan's always wanted a hummingbird, but not really a Gibson guy. That makes sense. Hummingbirds are super cool. I'll try and find you one, Mark. You'll probably find one. Keep an eye out on, or go talk to Melvin. Melvin owns C&M Music. He'll show you thousands of guitars on his phone. This dude must own personally 3,000 guitars. He just has like an extra house, I think, and just like he'll show you picture after picture. Anyway, I love shell pink too. So Charlie's very interested in a J45 Walnut Burst, currently back ordered. That's a cool guitar. Yeah, I just had that J15 that I think is amazing. I think walnut's a great tone wood. It grows in North America. We can do it sustainably. We can do it ethically. Why wouldn't we do this? That's great. ZC, thanks. That's super kind. Okay, it is time to pack it up. Okay, I'll answer one question. What do I think of carbon fiber guitars? I love carbon fiber guitars. I think the Kloss, the little travel guitars, they sound wonderful. They're great. You can take them with you. They're tough as nails. I think the next stretch of music is going to be outside for a lot of people. And so I think with that, having guitars that handle the elements really well is going to be really important. So I hate to say it, that's where I think that there is a really big space for like the Jazzmaster, the Acoustasonic, that kind of guitar that does a little better outside, doesn't freak out in cooler weather. But yeah, so carbon fiber guitars sound really good, and I don't think you would have an issue. I owned two other ones that I bought for cheap and sold for less than cheap. I think I doubled my money on both of them, but they were the CWA, whatever the company that PV ended up buying them, but these are before they were PV. And they were both really cool, sounded really good. If they're built right, they sound really clear. They're very present and they have a lot of resonance. So yeah, I think you dig them. I'll run through and then I'll do final announcements. What? Oh, that's right. Tom, you showed me that. Tom has a Kloss carbon fiber tenor uke. That's a great one. Have I ever looked at Stonebridge guitars? I have a Dreadnought and I really like it. I have seen them. I've never played one, but I really, I would love to check them out. So other exciting guitars, there's a new guitar company, not new, but there's a guitar builder close to me that just found me through YouTube, and I've heard about him. He's, 15 minutes away. So that, and then I've got another video coming out next week about Paget guitars, which are amazing. fingerstyle and like really cool guitars made in the Allegheny Mountains. So out west in Virginia, way out like in the Shire. It's like a spiritual experience to drive out there, and you just come into this like beautiful little village of Monterey, Virginia. And so that's Paget Guitars and Allegheny Lutherie. Closing announcements. Okay, I'll do one more question. Tips for upgrading a Fender acoustic. There's not a whole lot you can do. New bridge pins, new saddle, new nut. I wouldn't bother with tuners. Get a really good fitting bone nut, but even then, I wouldn't spend much more than probably $100-$150 for that stuff. But new bridge pins, new saddle, new nut, that will make it play better and sound better. But if not, I would just kind of start saving money and move up to something else. Like the CD140s are great guitars, but they're never going to be a $500 or $1,000 guitars. $500 or $1,000 guitar. All right. Well, guys, it's been so good. So, closing announcements. So, anyway, I am the time in this space is coming to an end. Really, thankfully, amazing things lined up, and the way just scheduling worked out and money worked out. We are now refinishing and renovating. That's the word my brain's looking for. We're renovating our garage outside, so it's a standalone garage. So I'm going to have basically the same amount of space I have in here. And what I'll be able to do is in there, I will be able to film videos day or night. Because right now, like, this is my basement, and right up here is my living room. And so it's really tricky for my family and my kids. And anyway, it makes for a tricky situation. And then the other thing is that this basement tends to take water when it rains really hard. We're coming into the wet season in Virginia, and it for sure is going to take water again. And so it's really exciting that we're going to finish the garage, and it'll be done in the next 3 or 4 weeks, I'm hoping. We'll be totally done. It'll be really cool. And so I appreciate your kindness and your patience in that. Now, I am reluctant to say, hey, if you want to give me money, you can. But several patrons have said, hey, people care about you, and that means a lot. And people want to support you. So if you want to support me, you can do a couple things. You can buy t-shirts. That's an easy way that you get something cool, and that money can go help for, because there's still a couple expensive things. Like fixing that garage is not cheap. Turning it into a YouTube studio. So if you want to support me, you can buy merch. You can buy guitars. That's all super helpful. If you want to just like, hey, I want my money to go as far as I can to help you make a new YouTube space, you can send me. Please feel my eye roll when I say this, but people that I trust and care about have said that I should. So you can send me money to Jeremy@jeremysheppard.com on PayPal. You can send it family and friends if you want to. Zero pressure. What is exciting, so in the next 4 weeks or so, I will have a space that is closed and sealed and all that, and it was really good. You can also do a super chat here. That's another way if you want. Again, zero pressure, but that's a way that we can kind of keep track of that money and make sure that goes to offset the cost of the garage, which we will not hit that point because it's quite expensive. So the last thing, so we'll get through everything over there. I'll have lights. I'll have everything set up. I'll have to build some racks. I'll have to buy some furniture. I'll have to do some stuff. But then I'm also going to have to put a mini split out there. And so that is kind of the lingering pricey thing that's coming for us. So I have a dear friend from high school who's a great guitar player, and he and his company want to support and want to work through stuff. So yeah. I forgot about that. They don't get too much, I don't think. I don't know. I'll have to look at it. I don't get many. Mike, bless you. Your $1 million is on the way. It's costing less than $1 million, believe it or not, to close in an 11x17 garage. But we're not far off. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, this is super. Oh my gosh, guys, this is super kind. I'm very thankful. There's 2 bags of coffee left from this week's order, and then I might take a little stretch off from doing coffee. It seems like interest has waned. We've slowed down on orders. So unless you want, oh, Tom, dude, what a friend. Yeah. So, someone asked earlier. This is a good segue for me to close out. Someone asked what I think about made in Japan fenders. My favorite Telecaster I've ever owned is this 1985 pink Paisley Tele. This is just such a cool guitar. Now, these have shot up in value. All the MIJ, CIJ, all of these have really shot up in value over the last couple of years, and they're very cool. The one place that usually you're kind of lacking on these is the quality of the harness, the pickups, the electronics, and the tuners. So what I did is I put new relic tuners on mine. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Yes, I did new Goto tuners on there. And then I put Seymour Duncan Antiquities in here. So I love this guitar. So Seymour Duncan Antiquities. These are the broadcaster, whatever the like flat pole piece. Super cool. Sean has a 90s MIJ photo. Oh my gosh, photo flame. I remember like my boss hated Paisley, so he would never have these, and I always wanted one, and he was like, I'm not gonna buy those. Those are terrible. So anyway, so I'll play this for a couple minutes. I'm gonna turn the light off, and guys, I'm humbled and thankful and flattered that y'all support. So we're at $39. You know, that'll pay for some rug mat or for some rugs and some flooring. And so right now, concrete floor is done. And then next week we'll do insulation and stuff. So this is awesome. Also go buy the buyer's guide. That's another way. I have a big profit margin on that. I'll pull the curtain back a bit. It was just writing and creating that. And the buyer's guide is digital. So if you buy that, that's another way that really helps to get some money to offset the cost of the garage. So thanks everybody. Have a great week. I'm going to turn my mic off and I'm going to do some whale music because I'm into whale music these days. For the last couple of years. Anyway, have fun. Have a great weekend. You guys are the best. This is awesome. There's a video where I talk about my camera gear and I talk about my light. So it's a Godox SL60, but there's a video called What's in My Camera Bag. Go check it out. That covers all my cameras, all my lenses, all that stuff. I'll go down to Dadget and jam around. Everybody, have a great day. This is so fun hanging out. Hope you have a great weekend. Just get to rest, relax, get recharged, and have a great life. So, I'll see you soon.